GM crypto news now here. It is March 7th. And before I get into this video, please read the description below on the take of the shilling of the tokens. So let's look at the price action of the majors really quick. So Bitcoin, I'm just going to quickly say it looks bottomed around here at around 85K. It is retesting the wick once again after the sell-off. And usually after the extremely bullish news of the BSR being approved, Bitcoin should bottom around here. If for it to go lower than 85K, I don't know what would make it go down there. But the news for Bitcoin, the Bitcoin strategy reserve, should make it not revisit the lows anytime soon. I mean, it could at some point again, but most likely this is the bottom. If this is not the bottom by any reason, I'm not sure how that could be, then this would go lower and hit 80K. That'll be the next target. But if this is actually bottom, the next target for Bitcoin will be higher than 90K. Liquidation heat map does support this, where there's more liquidity attracted above here. So I am pretty bullish short term after we've just retested the wick here, and this is quite good. So a lot of the other altcoins, well, Ethereum still going sideways. Solana, like the Bitcoin strategic reserve being approved, and what Donald Trump said about the other altcoins is bearish alts, by the way, but bullish Bitcoin. We'll have to see what's going on about that. I'm going to show you guys. But if we look at the price action of altcoins, nothing really that exciting. A lot of things are just down. So yeah, maybe some weird outperforms like KeyCat for some reason, but I think this is just a small blip, and maybe it's just because it's been down only for so long that it's bouncing just to retest this. What do you call this EMA. It could be that before this goes lower. So I'm a little bit bearish still on the altcoins. They're not looking great. And let's look at the price action, or I mean the tweets here. So if you're wondering why the timeline looks so angry, performance over the last 90 days, a few top 100 alts. Yep, look at this. Every alt that is considered to be one of the best down at least 60% or 40%. It's not looking good. That's why everyone is so bearish. Look at this one. US dollar index DXY on track for its 5th consecutive red day after failing to its lowest level since early November. If you look at the DXY, which is essentially the strength of the dollar, we are now going down only on it for the last 5 days, which is signifying a bearish downtrend. And that usually means that risk on assets are more attractive because the interest rates of bonds will go down. So that's very good for the dollar here. And this should, in theory, like go to zero over time, the DXY, which is why Bitcoin is so bullish as well. So this is good for risk on assets. So look at this. Looks like Arc.Fund announced they are launching an app store for agents. It's a layer built on top of Arc, which will host tools or services that agents applications use. Imagine thousands of services ranging from crypto and all available to your agent via a single interaction. Payment can be made via USD and buyback, and then app store layer. And main advantage allows an open ecosystem for agents, access all services via a single API, clear value accrual to native token Arc. The Web3 service will have stuff in Web2, yeah. So look at this, where essentially Arc is essentially trying to create the AI infrastructure where you can build apps on it. So this is insanely bullish for the AI narrative, and this is actually a really good project. I was doing some more research on it, and it seems to be quite legit. But what kind of sucks about this is that the price action actually went down on Arc, which kind of sucks to see. I think this is very bullish for Arc in the long term, but we have to see what happens with this, with the markets, because the price doesn't lie, and most likely the price is only like this because of the market weakness overall with Solana. It's most likely because of its pairing to Solana that it's weak, not because the product is bad. But a lot of other tokens are pretty much going down as well. Even SNI, which is a good project, is in the pits. So usually I think this will come back in the long term, and something like that does solidify the thesis for Arc to do well. But the fact is that it's most likely going to be shitting the bed for a little bit until we see Solana catch some interest again, which it might do, but Bitcoin is going to be the first bouncer especially, and we'll have to see how the alts react to it. So yeah, so let's look at this. Intel, U.S. Central Bank does not need to be in a hurry to adjust interest rates, Fed Chair Powell. Yep, during the crypto summit, Powell, I think, was talking some shit, and he was like, yeah, we're not going to cut the interest rates anytime soon because we don't need to, and we need the interest rate cuts for Bitcoin to go much higher, by the way. But he's essentially making that stance here, so just set your expectations accordingly. And then let's look at this. So I'm not going to super read this, just kind of skim it. But what do we know about Trump and his approach if you've done your homework? One, highly unpredictable, operates on instinct and impulse. Yep, so he's essentially going back and forth, and you don't know what his next move is. Two, motivated by personal wealth and status. Yep, he's also just trying to make moves that pumps his own bags, right? And remember, he has a huge bag of Ethereum. Three, power hungry, obsessed with the deal. Yep. So Donald Trump, he is one of the best businessmen in the world. So of course he is going to play this deal accordingly and have uncertainty with his decisions. And four, master marketer, controls narrative and shapes public opinion. So whatever he does with his decisions here are going to shape how the crypto narrative goes forward. And as we see with Bitcoin and his take on it, most likely he's going to be super bullish on Bitcoin and do bullish directions for it. So that is going to be quite good. So let's look at this. Intel, ADA, Sol, XRP only mentioned because they're top 5 cryptocurrency by market cap, David Sachs. So this is kind of funny because people are like, oh my gosh, the digital assets stockpile. But now it seems that Donald Trump, he might be only saying those because he had donations from those people and he was doing it because it's kind of like a sponsorship, and that they're only mentioned because they're top 5 cryptocurrencies and not because they have actual value. And this is very bullish for Bitcoin, by the way, but very bearish altcoins. So I can't really give you guys a bullish statement for altcoins, except that perhaps they could go up just based off correlation of Bitcoin go up. But alts need a new narrative for them to honestly outperform Bitcoin anytime soon. And Bitcoin dominance as well is still extremely, extremely strong. So yeah. Let's look at this. Justin, U.S. regulator says banks can engage in crypto activities. Very, very bullish for crypto. Justin, Trump administration to rescind and amend all previous Irish crypto guidance. Again, very, very bullish for crypto. And then I want to cover this last thing here. S&P 500 is an index for stocks, but as you guys can see, Bitcoin is obviously, it's honestly outperforming stocks in the short term here. And stocks, they are shitting the bed. And most likely they're going to continue to go down. And what could be a catalyst to it and what we need to look out for, at least for Bitcoin as well, for it to perhaps visit low 70s again, is the yen carry trades. But let's look at this tweet by Wei Wu. All my nigger retard dumbass friends, please pay attention. Japan soon destroy us all. In 1931, Japan invasion, try conquest all Asia. America say, no nigga, we bomb your ass. Japan say, okay nigga, you win, soon we fight again. Now 2025, technology company stock price very similar pattern with Bitcoin price. Japan currency very weak, interest rate must low. People borrow money from Japan, used for buy stock all around world. Much stock market price need yen value below. Japan can say, fuck you nigga, we back for a fight second time. If Japan raise interest, yen appreciate. People before borrow yen for buy America stock. Now people sell America stock back bay yen. America company stock prowesses fall fast like obese woman, trip on stick and fall on ground, speed fast, most fast. Bitcoin price also fall. Everyone in America now be most poverty. Everyday sleep under tree. Japan celebration, we lose in America in World War II. Now we win war, make all America be homeless. Most shame, not regret, keep an eye on Japanese yen. Yeah, you got to watch out for the price of this, especially with its USD GPY correlation. And stock wise, I'm going to explain once more as a summary, but essentially Japan, their currency is pretty weak and has low interest rates as a result. So a lot of stock traders use the Japanese yen and borrow that currency in order to buy stocks, at least US based, because in theory they could get a better return if they were into stocks compared to if they held the Japanese yen. So it's essentially this huge Ponzi scheme. And essentially when something like that is to the effect where a shit ton of people are doing it and they're essentially leveraged, because that is essentially leverage trading, but within stocks. If you borrow money from Japan and then, or at least the Japanese yen, and then you expect your new investment to have a future return, then yeah, it's leverage trading. So people are taking a lot more risk. But essentially Japan, they can have an ability to raise interest on their own currency here, which would make the yen appreciate. And then the people who borrow yen for buy America stock, those guys will have to sell the American stocks to get back the yen, because now potentially the Japanese yen interest rate could outpace the rate of interest of the stock that they bought. So when that becomes the case, then the whole case of people, they'll get super liquidated with their positions essentially, and a lot of people have to sell at a loss. And this is a huge risk that's of course happening, since a lot of traders are doing this. And when that happens, and this is not, I suppose, regulated somehow, then the stock prices will fall because people have to sell their bags to buy the Japanese yen, and the price of the Japanese yen will go up. And as a result, then the Bitcoin price, it will also fall because of correlation, and then a lot of stocks are not going to be looking good. And essentially the S&P 500 can suffer from this Japanese yen carry trade that people do. And I think it's pretty big too. Like, it's not exactly a small factor if this were to happen. So look at this. Japan have 2 trillion USD invest in companies all around the world. My nigga, 2 trillion, this is not billion, this trillion. You know how big trillion be? I do not. Why? Number 2 big, my brain not able understanding. If Japan increase interest, all that 2 trillion in stock be sell. What do you think effect be? No answer, you be homeless. Yeah, 2 trillion. That's a lot of dollars that they have invested. And it's a lot of money, and for all that money to be liquidated from the markets will have a large effect on stocks, a very large effect. And when that happens, and let's say it retests this lower effect of the channel here, and the Japanese yen carry trade happens, then Bitcoin will also suffer as well. I don't know if it'll happen anytime soon, but it's definitely something that could happen like Q2, Q3, and it's just a potential risk that could happen and essentially fuck the markets overall. So we have to be worried about this, but it's more of a midterm thing. I don't think it's going to happen short term, but it's something to keep an eye on. So that's pretty much all I want to say in this video. Just want to talk about some macro things and then Bitcoin, I suppose. Like, obviously the best asset right now is Bitcoin still. I think we are going to have a bit more upside in the short term, but the altcoin wise, nothing really that exciting. Everything is still having no interest yet, and the narrative, I think, if I were to be honest, none of the altcoins really have an enticing more narrative than Bitcoin right now. But most likely Bitcoin just has to chill a bit. Like, I don't think it's gonna do V-shaped recovery over the weekend. It could, but most likely a bit of a chop higher, and then perhaps next week we'll see it try to tap over 90 or so. But yeah, that's pretty much all I'm saying in this video, and I'll see you guys.